Deep in the remote valley of Malastang in Cumbria stands an ancient castle ruin. According to legend, this is where Uther Pendragon, father of King Arthur, once held his stronghold, and some say he never truly left. Today, we uncover the history, mystery, and myths behind Pendragon Castle. Pendragon Castle sits near the small hamlet of Alfgill in the Eden Valley. To one side, the River Eden curves quietly through the landscape. To the other, Wild Boar Fell rises like a dark wall against the sky. The castle was built for survival on one of medieval England's most dangerous frontiers, where English and Scottish armies clashed and raiding parties regularly swept across the borderlands. And over the centuries, Pendragon Castle would be burned, rebuilt, abandoned, and transformed into legend. Local legend claims this was once the fortress of Uther Pendragon, father of King Arthur. In one story, Uther tried to divert the River Eden to form a moat around his castle, but the river refused. From that comes a well-known saying, "Let Uther Pendragon do what he can, Eden will run where Eden ran." Another darker tale says Uther and his men were poisoned here after enemies contaminated the well. The earliest castle that was here likely dates to the early 1100s, a Norman ringwork built by Ranulph Dane machines, securing control of the Eden Valley. At this stage, it would have been timber palisades and earthworks, not stone, a frontier outpost in a constantly shifting borderland, England to the south, Scotland to the north. One of the earliest known figures linked to Pendragon Castle is Hugh de Morville, a powerful Norman lord of Westmoreland, and one of the 4 knights who murdered Thomas Becket in Canterbury Cathedral in 1170. Becket was the Archbishop of Canterbury and had once been a close ally of King Henry II. But after his appointment, he began to fiercely defend the rights of the church, often clashing with the king over who held ultimate authority, church or crown. In frustration, Henry is famously said to have uttered words that were taken as a royal wish for Becket's removal. Whether intended as a direct order or not, 4 knights, including Hugh, took it as their duty. They travelled to Canterbury, entered the cathedral, and killed Becket at the altar. It was one of the most shocking acts of violence in medieval Europe. Afterwards, the backlash was immediate. The knights fell out of favour, their positions weakened, and their estates were redistributed through powerful noble families. A nearby summit in the Eden Valley still bears his memory, named Hugh's Seat, a quiet hill, named after a man tied to one of the loudest scandals in medieval Europe. By the 14th century, Pendragon passed to the powerful de Clifford family. In 1309, Robert de Clifford was granted a licence to crenellate by King Edward II, official permission to transform the site into a stone fortress. A square tower keep rose within the older earthworks, with thick walls, vaulted chambers, and a far stronger defensive design. But the timing was brutal. Robert didn't live long to enjoy it. In 1314, he was killed at the Battle of Bannockburn, and from that point on, Pendragon sat in a region constantly caught in the violence of Anglo-Scottish border warfare. The Anglo-Scottish border was one of the most violent regions in Britain. Pendragon Castle was attacked and burned in the 14th century by Scottish raiders. It was repaired, but never fully restored. In 1541, another raid caused further destruction. After that, the castle was effectively abandoned. For over 100 years, it decayed into ruin. Then came Lady Anne Clifford. She inherited the Clifford estates after a long legal struggle, and unlike many of her contemporaries, she deeply valued these northern castles. Pendragon in particular was one of her favourites. In 1660, she restored Pendragon Castle, bringing it briefly back to life as a residence. But her death in 1676 marked the turning point. Ownership passed to her grandson, the Earl of Thanet, and later his son. Neither had any interest in maintaining the remote castle. Instead, they ordered it stripped. The roof was removed, lead was taken for reuse elsewhere, timber was salvaged, and stone was reused in other buildings across the estate. And so, the castle that Lady Anne had restored with such care was dismantled piece by piece, leaving only the ruin we see today. And this is where history fades into something else. Locals tell of a ghostly horseman riding through the valley at night, believed by some to be Uther Pendragon himself. Others speak of white figures moving through the ruins. And one of the strangest legends of all is that buried treasure lies beneath the castle, protected by a supernatural black hen that scratches and disturbs anyone who tries to dig. Whether you believe it or not, standing here in silence, it's easy to see how these stories began. What's your theory about Pendragon Castle? Was it simply a medieval fortress? Or is there a reason its legends have survived for centuries? Let me know what you think in the comments. And thank you for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a like and consider subscribing. And hope to see you again very soon on another adventure.